We're back in the corner. There was a lot of distractions, but they were kind of fun distractions, weren't they? Yeah, with Churchill coming along and the tariff thing finally getting to the place where we can talk about it without going into a fetal position in the corner. I think we're ready to crack on with this. Plenty of clearance for the carriage under there, but I would want to, what I'm doing, just back up a little bit, what I'm doing here is trying to figure out what next. And I don't really want to be standing in the middle of the hole here having to model. So what I'm intending to do is just lift this piece out and go and do it somewhere else. I can just chop that off if necessary. So plenty of room underneath there, the tunnel mouth there somewhere, but at least we can hedge along the edge here. So underneath we're good. Up on top, let's put this on the track. I'm right-handed, so doing this, I'm holding the camera in the, yeah, I did all right. So we're having a look, see how much clearance we've got. There's plenty there, so long as I stay, you see it? So long as I stay not going at an angle. So retaining wall it is. We can we? A little tight there. I'm just going to shave a little off that edge there. Don't want to go too far, but I need to mark that. 1 second. If you use your pinky against one of the rails, either one, and can hold the pencil, you have to go that way, otherwise your nail rips off on a sleeper. But you mark where this end is and just keep it still. You can actually mark a fairly accurate line. I can actually cut to that line and we'll be fine. I'm looking down on it. There's not much room, so we want a little bit of a... Am I actually going over anywhere? What I'm looking at is, have I just mimicked the back there? Certainly at this end, it's good, but I want a little bit more space than that. There, let's see how far away we are there. Yeah, you see we're miles away there. Somebody suggested, why didn't I make a paper template? I could have. It's just there's a big drop down there, so paper would have been a bit floppy. Could have just used this as a template, couldn't I? But yeah, I appreciate your input. I really do. Alrighty, so we're just going to trim that back a little bit. Next thing is then to plan what's coming from here. I think if I put we want to continue this. If I just model this part, we're going to end up with a scenic break there. That's okay, because I can put, there's not a road here, so I can put a gate there. And that will hide the join in the board. I don't mind modeling in little bits. I like it because I can just lift it out. Then we've got to decide if there's a gate there, somewhere there. So another board there. So there would be a hedge there. And then the road would continue on the next board. Yes, and then when we get over here, of course, we've got the interface between this one and that. I'm just going to trim. The way to do that is run a knife through them both and cut. Make sure you're cutting through both of them at the same time. And then we'll make the ramp. Yes, I'm happy with that. So we'll model this part first. We need to mark where the oast house is going to go. It doesn't want to be back touching the back seam because of lighting and shadows. Doesn't want to be all the way at the front because that makes no sense. You can't get a tractor there, so somewhere in the middle. Does want to be this way because if you're going to put a hop field there, you don't want this out in the middle of it. Could go the other end completely, which makes some sense. Does that make sense? It's going to be at the top of the, you couldn't put anything much up there anyway. That would actually work, because look what you have behind, the farm in the distance, and then the field would be over here. You want to try and hide the field to some extent. So path in the front, hedge at the front. Somebody suggested a stile. I like that. So we've got a model on this. We've got a, see it moving? Yeah, well, we know it's that high. It's a thickness of that high. I do want some support under the front. I'll come up with something. But yeah, freestanding. Let's get on with it, shall we? Just quickly, we need to finally decide where this is going. There's nothing much behind that. I'm happy with that. You can see the farm in the distance. That makes sense. Yeah. So it needs a low hedge fence. Low fence or hedge. I think the oast house this end, support. Tunnel to wall. Nothing else on there, is there, that's going to cause us issues? If I put something along the back, if I put a fence along the back, the trouble is you would see through it. A hedge, it will add depth, but it's got to be low. I think we're there. Can pull this off and do some damage. So that's, are we happy with where that oast house sits? It's a little square. I like the angle into the background with the tall part this end. We won't see down the back. Somewhere there. And if we make room for a vehicle there. Where's a vehicle? Of course I haven't got one handy. Not going to get one. The scale's 7 or 8 feet. So what's that? If we say 32 mil, so 40 mil. That'd be 10 feet, wouldn't it? Scale 10 feet. Where's my ruler? I have a ruler here. Yeah, so long as the hedge isn't too thick, we'll be fine there. That's 50. I think that's right. So now all I'm going to do is draw around the oast house so I know where it goes. And then the hop field is out here with the gate there. So the hop field will be triangular. Good. Let's get on with it. So all I'm doing is marking around the oast house, and I did look up oast houses and see how they actually operated. It's kind of interesting, actually. Yeah, something like that. You stay there and don't get broken. Taking you with me? No, don't need you. Scissors might need. White pencil certainly need, and we'll go and make a farm. A few bits and bobs. Found some brown paint, found a paintbrush, found a wagon too, and in there are some track pins which I claim I've never used, but they seem to be everywhere. Not very many in there. This one's been part of the works train forever. But I can make the hop wires with that and a piece of cotton. So that's what that's there for. All I'm doing is painting this brown. I'll come back and show you when I'm done. You still there? Oh yeah. It's a messy job. Now I'm going to be painting over my marks, so I'm going to have to put all of them back on again. Oh, I'm an idiot. I haven't cut the piece off yet. Let's do that real quick. Well, that was a close one. I nearly forgot to cut that slither off this side. I had to quickly do that while I could still see the line. Now I've taken a photograph of the board with all the lines on it, so that if the worst comes to the worst, we'll be able to find where things should be, but it's nothing critical. While the paint's drying, I've found all kinds of scenic bits and bobs. I've remarked where the Oast house goes. I'm out of glue, so I've got to nip to the store and get some glue. Yes, glue. And I need to get this done because that's a mess and I don't like it. The thinking I'm having here is that the retaining wall can actually be stuck on the baseboard so long as I've got a fluffy hedge along the front, and then this will sit in behind it. In the same way that when this goes back, so long as there is something along the edge here that covers up the gap, that will work. Now in this particular instance, of course, you've got the kiddies' playground, but most of the way you don't. And I'm pointing at all the bits that don't matter. But if I put a hedge along here, for example, that overlaps, then when this sits down, it'll just look like a hedge running around the edge of it, rather than showing up the gap between the two baseboards. So that's what I'm on. And I need to be careful not to knock these guys over. So hedge there around the cricket ground, and then this side, of course, you've got ballast to there, and we'll put some either a cart path or engineer's hut or mud, something in there, just to answer the question, why isn't the hedge back here? Now obviously the Oast house doesn't go there, it goes over there, but while this is all out, I do have to put in the security fence along the edge of the airport and get that back scene mounted. But for now I'm working this way. The paint's perfectly dry. Some of you knew and didn't say anything. Look at that. It's as warped as yeah, we're not going there. Look at that. It's because the paint contracts. So now, yeah, that's not flat. I was going to use it as a board, but that's why we don't do this stuff. So now what I've got to do, I got the foam core from underneath it, and I was going to use that in one piece, but I've cut that off, and I'll glue this to the underside of that. But look at the that's ridiculous. I could have used ply. It would have done the same thing with ply, but not nearly to this extent. That's just silly. So now what I've got to do is glue it and clamp it. And I know the glue will do stuff to this side, and it never really sticks to this. I do know to score that, or put my fingernails in it. I'm going to score that up, put some glue on it, clamp it up, and we'll have another little break. Now there are days where I don't feel like playing trains, really. But But today I just wanted to get on with it. So I'm scoring this now in the hope it will give the glue something to stick to. We're back to a small bottle of Elmer's glue, and that'll take all day to come out of there. I'm going to take the lid off in a minute. Although now you're being silly. All right, let's see how far that goes. Here's the where are we staying tonight? AHG. Let's get the lid off this thing. Needs a big dollop. That's better. Should be enough. Don't forget to close the lid. It's not the middle that's the problem, it's the edges. This old table really takes some abuse, but nothing on it, there's a bit of brown paint on it, but nothing on it is anything other than water soluble. Let's move my tools out of the way. I'm a bit far away from where they're supposed to be. If you've seen the videos, you know I like to put it away, not put it down. Now, some of you love how I solve problems as we go. Well, thanks, but I don't intend to. I intend not to have the problem in the first place. Right. That will be where the problems are going to be, over this end. The middle will be fine. I don't want glue all over the place, even if I can. Right, now, have I got it on the other end? Nope. We're good. We're golden. It's a bit out to the edges. I'm going to glue this, clamp it up, go and get myself another cup of tea. Perhaps walk the dogs and then come back. This project is supposed to be a one evening project. Can you tell I've been off today? What am I going to do with that now? Ick. Some clamps and the top part, which we know goes that way round. All right, up the other way with you. You can't see, I'm holding it both hands. I'll be back in a minute. There we are. That's one corner clamped. I'm doing my best to show you. These are the bigger clamps, the ones I couldn't find before. Do you remember? Now it's got to come that way a bit. Sliding around here. We'll get it lined up in a minute. Now I have a feeling that this is going to warp the underside as well. Look, if it doesn't work, we'll start again and find another way. I think it will though. I can hear Shadow barking. I think we've got a pregnant deer in the backyard. I was looking everywhere for that hotel key. There it is, look. Well, there's no glue on it anymore, that's one good thing. I can really only glue along the edges. Only clamp along the edges. Is it another one there? Yeah, I can already see this is bowing as well. Hopefully it will pull straight. Otherwise, I'm going to have to glue this down to the baseboard, which is not what I want to do. You might notice that I'm trying to build in a somewhat modular fashion. Now, if I put that on the edge here, I'm going to put some weights on this, but I have a feeling that this is stronger than that. I'm just going to go away and leave it and see what happens. Well, there we go. I've got some good heavy batteries on it, and we'll see how that works. All I can do is go away and wait. Yeah. Now, you might remember me talking about a relative who suggested I had a way of watching the trains go by and trying to maintain that. Well, I've just seen some pictures of his layout, and oh my word, it's wonderful. I'll have to ask him if I can show you. But it is really impressive how in the same distant family there are two of us making big old layouts. Yeah. Now, I've sat here and watched this for 5 minutes and nothing has warped. I am going to go away and come back and see if it does it instantly or whether it's going to do it over time. Now, a couple of you have asked how I store things. Well, it used to be a terrible mess in here. I got one of these tool boxes. There's another one. There's one almost identical to this at the other end of the room. And this one's on wheels, but the wheels are a nuisance. And the distance here means it's just a shelf for junk. So I'm going to take the wheels off that and ground it, which will give me another little bit of space up here. Now, I'd left the wheels on so I could get at the electrics under there. But if it's down 6 inches, I will be able to. So that's one of the projects I'm going to attempt whilst glue is drying. Yes, you can tell I'm a bit frustrated. So now what I'm going to do is do something I can do while I'm waiting and glue on some hedges around the edge of this, since I've got that other weird glue, and it'll overlap this edge and drop into the layout quite nicely and will look like it's the boundary line of the cricket ground. A clever idea someone suggested, I've got a couple of those, what do you call them, horses? Stands that you can push up that would fit under this, so I can work on the bottom of that. So I'll bring those down at some point. What am I using here? Lichen or lichen, depends where you're from. Dark green mix, non-toxic. Well, that's good. Means I can eat it. Now, let's start over by the pavilion and come around this way. So I'm going to, that's already glued. There is a goodly amount of greenery behind the pavilion. And so now I've got bits of this stuff. And just glue it on. Pull out the sticks. Looks like something you could cook with. Now, there's all kinds of discussion about how you should glue this stuff on. That's quite all right. It will live. There's a nicer stuff than this. I think I've got some somewhere. This works though. It's the nicer stuff is much finer. I do want to try and make it look like it's supposed to be there. Yeah, I'll show you in a second. I would dread, I may put a boundary rope down as well, because I would dread trying to get a cricket ball out of this, because it would go in there eventually. The one place you would get a boundary hit would be right into the hedge, wouldn't it? Now, before I go much further, is this looking all right? Let me give you a close-up of that. Bit ratty there, I'll trim that off. But other than that, yeah. Could put a fence in front of it, this side. I got a piece of fence to show you? I don't, handy. But over beside the seats there, do you see that? That very low bush, rather than this ungainly coarse bush, hedge, I don't know what it is. But that looks better. But this is fine. I am going to glue some of these accessories in place because you can't reach them from the road, and every time you pick it up, everything falls over. So the unkept, runaway, what we would call kudzu down here in the south, into the unpruned, I suppose they could be blackberry bushes, couldn't they? Onto the more tame hedges. Yeah. So the overall look is of a boundary. I really should have a rope or a white line. I'm afraid to do them because if you mess them up, you can't fix them. But we'll see. So we're getting there. We're doing something while I'm still looking at it. It hasn't warped. Now back here, I did glue on a bit of fence. I've not used that stuff extensively, and I've had all kinds of trouble with it. Do you see the chimney pots? Yes, of course you do. Happens every time you go near them. So we will glue those back where they're supposed to be. I'm walking around with a bag of that stuff under my arm so they have my hands free, and I think the bottom of the bag hit the chimney pot. Yes, well, we're not going to do that again, are we? This security fence, I need to get that onto the layout. The rather short posts are in there. Those springs are not springs, they're barbed wire. We'll get to that. And this is what the problem is. None of this was planned. I'm supposed to be making a farm and coming out of that corner over there. But when you've got to wait for paint to dry and then glue to dry and you've got an hour, this is what you do. I'm also taking a look at this. What am I looking at? Well, remember I said I want by the end of the year to have these working. I've got the bits on order. Very little space underneath the board. There's room over here, but there's a track that is elevated. That's the bottom end of the track that comes, you can see it there, look, it goes up and comes up over there where that carriage is. So there's not a lot of space down here. You can't just poke a rod up and twist it. You're going to have to bring something over here. So I'm going to have a play. That's what I was looking for. This says 180 scale feet. What that's talking about is that runway. Yes, well, we know you can't. Well, you can just take off or land in 180 feet, but I don't want to be in the plane that does it. Might end up in the trees, a bit like that, I suppose. Oh yes, and the other thing I was to do, wasn't it, was to figure out how a radar was going to work. Yes, I think I'm going to go off and do that. With the best laid plans, I still can't get the thing I want to get done. So I'm going to nip off and order some bits and pieces to make a radar. And hopefully they'll come. And hopefully they're not coming from you-know-where, so I don't get charged you-know-what. I'm back. This looks good to me. I'm just going to check the fence around the back here. Oh, that's outstanding. That's not going anywhere. Let's try that again. That glue's still not set. So that's good. Yes, I like that. This I didn't get on tonight, but I hadn't intended to. But that, oh my word. I'm going to take the clamps off. Do I? No, the glue is not set and it's been hours. I'm going to put the clamps back on, put the weights back on, and we'll get back to that tomorrow. There we are. I've turned it up the other way. See if that makes a single bit of difference. Do you know, sometimes this is very appropriate, isn't it? I have no idea when we're going to get this farm finished. I feel like Jeremy Clarkson trying to grow hops for the first time or something. We'll get back to it. Thanks for watching me bumble my way through the corner. And I'm reasonably content. It's been an hour. I've been down here, had a couple of cups of tea, ordered a radar motor. We'll see if that works. And I'll see you another day. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll be in a better position next time. It's not worse than it was, is it? No, we're doing fine. See you now.